Please do it. I'll follow you.
No, I mean, yes, you will. I'll do it when it's in the actual
Okay.
slide.
Just give me a little slowdown towards the end,
Right.
because I can't remember how many repetitions we've done.
Well,
So
you know what allows me to know
the
how far.
words
Yeah,
help.
the words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, on whatever the song is you guys are singing,
Yes.
are you repeating the last
Yes.
chorus? I just want to tell them so they don't advance the slide.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, when I wrote out the lyrics to "Sing the Day," I believe I copy and pasted it so it would be repeated there.
I think to save time, she just used an old version that I had made. So I'll just tell her.
So which song are you talking about?
Sing the
Sing
name.
the day.
Okay, but then it's not going to be correct. That's the reason why I wrote it out.
Is it completely different?
No, but it repeats the refrain.
Okay.
So I wrote it out.
We'll just try to watch out for it.
I wrote it up so it would have a place. Otherwise, why would I write it out? Why would I write it out?
All right.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. So just be sure to give me a count, because I know.
Hello?
Because I
Hello?
know where to begin.
Testing, testing,
Otherwise, we won't come in right.
testing. Okay, good.
She's slightly faster than you want to do it.
This is funny. So you know those recordings I make? I accidentally, I didn't know you could do this. I accidentally speeded it up to like 1.5, and I'm playing along with it. I'm like, this is way too fast. But I didn't play it this fast. And then I was like, oh, it's at 1.5. No wonder it sounds funny.
I don't even know how to record sound on my
Hello, hello. Good morning. Welcome to the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We can all take a breath and arrive here in sanctuary together. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour we hear our one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. I invite you to follow along in the order of service. For those of you attending virtually, all the links for this service, including the order of service, are on our website and in this morning's worship service email. If you are here in the sanctuary this morning, please silence your cell phone. And in keeping with our covenant of care and concern for each other, our board of directors continues to require that we all wear masks over our mouths and noses while in the building, especially when we are gathered in the sanctuary for worship. Thank you so much for honoring this covenant and the board's directions. And of course, if you need a mask, the ushers can provide you with one. You can just raise your hand or get one yourself. My name is Marcia Kristen, and I will be your lay leader this morning. My family and I came here and became members in about 2005, my husband and my 3 now adult children. And it's been quite a place of learning for us all. We came for that sense of religious exploration, and we could really dive in together. And I'm currently on the Healthy Communications Committee and on the listening team. Our worship leader this morning is the Reverend Carol McKinley. Reverend McKinley speaks regularly at our fellowship and is the social justice community minister at the Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. And we welcome her to our church. I'd also like to welcome any visitors that are here as well. If you are here in person, we look forward to welcoming you in person outside on the breezeway after the service, where we'll have coffee hour. The announcements are available on our website, and you can look at those at www.kuuf.org, or they're in our weekly email newsletter called The Candle. So now it's time to once again hear about our auction. So I'm going to invite Ellen Newberg and Lisa Johnson to come forward.
Sit. 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 Sorry. Scooby, sit. This was not part of this show. Scooby, sit. Sit. Okay, can you hear me? How about now? Yes. Hey, Alan, have you put in your bids for the auction yet?
Oh, I've gone through the whole catalog like 3 or 4 times, and it's so exciting to watch that little thermometer grow.
I agree. Did you have some questions about it? I know you have not been very highly involved in this auction ever.
Well, yeah, several things. Can I still donate?
Absolutely. You can donate all the way through the time the auction is open, up until next Sunday even, although if you wait till then, people won't really have a chance to bid on them until the very last minute.
Yeah. And do people know that you can type in the search box the number, a later number, and skip way to the end of the catalog?
Oh, I don't know if they know that, but now I think they do because you've told them.
Right. And you have to set the choices on everything.
Yeah.
Could I donate more than one thing?
Absolutely, yes. In fact, there are some people, like there's this woman who always gives bouquets and time in her garden, and she's donated about a gazillion things.
So what are some cool things that have been donated?
Oh, there are so many neat things. I mean, food, oh my goodness. Cookies for Christmas, for the holidays. There are picnics, barbecues. There's one of my favorites is the 1 full year of snail mail by a very young member of our congregation who will send drawings and a letter every month for a year. You can bounce around on in a bouncy room for hours if you like. I'm looking forward to that. There's a person in our fellowship, there's 2 people that are giving rides in electric cars, and you know how important electric cars are now, and one will even let you drive it. I don't know if his wife knows that yet.
Where and when can I deliver my donations?
Well, today, up until about 2 o'clock, and then Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, we'll have people here between 10 and 2, and then the last time to deliver it will be next Sunday, the 13th, which is also when the auction ends at 6 p.m.
Well, if I can't think of anything to donate, could I just donate cash?
Absolutely, yes,
Okay,
we'll take
okay.
money. Oh. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year.
That's right, that's right. I have one last question.
Okay.
What is Scooby donating this year?
Well, he's thinking about something. He has a little trouble typing in the description of it, but he's thinking about donating 2 hours of Scooby love. That means without his vest, so people can pet him and love on him.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
So please help us out with this wonderful auction. If you haven't already been online, it's a great catalog.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I'm so inspired. All right, another chance for a nice, deep, centering breath. This is time for our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. The invitation now is to stand as you're willing or able to sing our musical call to worship, which will be hymn number 1010, We Give Thanks. It's in our teal hymnal, Singing the Journey.
Please be seated. Our opening words this morning are from the Reverend Dr. Richard Gilbert. Love the world, big bang and all. Enter into the Milky Way with gratitude. Shoot the stars gently with awe, and be glad you have a right to be here. Embrace the earth in all her terror and glory. Sing praises unto her name. Dig into her soil tenderly and rejoice at the fruit in your hands. Enjoy existence, life's categorical imperative. Celebrate the lifelong birthday party of one blessed by pleasure and pain alike, affirming in the end that life is good. Create community, for we are members one of another. Live in the unending charm of persons who people this world with us, sharing the ambiguity that is human living. Act as if it depends upon you. It doesn't, for no one can do it alone. But it does depend on us. We are here to help one another and to help the world. Else, what are we here for? Good morning. It is good to be together.
Thank you for those words. All right, now I want to welcome Chris and Robert Ambergy to come up and light our chalice. Chris and Robert have moved to Silverdale from Puyallup 2 years ago, and they joined KUF this year and enjoy being part of this life-affirming community. And if you have your own chalice or candle at home, please light as I read our chalice lighting words. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now please join me in the spoken affirmation, and the words will appear on the screens. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. So the tune and the words to our next hymn, Soon the Day Will Arrive, were written by two Jewish musicians in the 20th century. The words by Ehud Manor and the music by Nurit Hirsch. It was quite a haunting melody that really spoke to our souls. So again, the invitation is to stand as you are willing and able to join in singing number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive. It's in our gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, and the words will also appear on the screen as well.
Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without one. wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
Now Melinda Hughes, our Director of Religious Education, will share our time for all ages.
Good morning, everyone. I was trying a new mask this morning. Whew, it's hot. Okay. Well, this book might be familiar because I shared it a few months ago, but it's just a wonderful book, and I am a person who believes we can hear a story more than one time. So today's story is Together by Mona Damluji, and it's illustrated by Inosanto Nagara, who also was the author of A is for Activist. And I always have to say, it's a board book. So even board books for little ones can still have a good, deep meaning. And for those of us who like a little bit of investigation, there is an image or a little creature that's going to be on every slide. I think you can keep that, your mind, your eyes open for that. So here we go. One star shines as distant light, and when stars shine together, they make our galaxy. One bee wanders through my garden, and when bees work together, they are a colony. One bird calls into the wind, and when birds call together, they make a cacophony. One tree grows toward the sun, and when trees grow together, they make a canopy. One voice sings a tender song, and when voices sing together, they make harmony. One instrument plays an unforgettable beat, and when instruments play together, they are a symphony. One mountain rises to a mighty peak, and when mountains rise together, they are majesty. One wave is a surfer's dream, and when waves move together, they are an endless sea. One of us can make a home, and when we come together, we are family. One of us can love with all our heart, and when we love together, we build community. One of us can speak up for justice. And when we speak up together, we create a world of possibility. And that is our board book for today. I just love those pictures and all those causes so near and dear to so many of us Unitarian Universalists in the illustrations. So if you would rise in body or spirit and join in singing together as our children leave to go up to the Matin building.
Now is the time for offering. We gather as a religious community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. Together, our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is a time in our service when we share in the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. As part of our mission that inspires us to act on our beliefs, we share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency, providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of November is the Q Youth Resources, an all-volunteer nonprofit. Q Youth Resources believes that it can have the most impact in Kitsap County when it addresses financial barriers unique to LGBTQ2IA+ young people and their supporters. We also schedule and run events dedicated to their needs and experiences for education, professional growth, and fun. Among other things, the Q Youth Resources offers the Pink Prom and a scholarship program. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. Donations placed in the basket will go to Q Youth Resources. If you would like your offering to be used for KUUF, please use one of the envelopes that's provided in the baskets. For those joining us online, you may go to our website, kuuf.org, and select the Giving tab for PayPal and mailing information. If this is your first time at KUF, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is your gift. Let there now be an offering to strengthen and sustain our community, which is sacred to so many of us. And let us also enjoy a gift of music from our music coordinator, Brian Kenny, as he plays Duet by Felix Mendelssohn. Thank you. Now is the time for our joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows are lessened. We have a few this morning. From Mac and Lisa Johnson, the joy is that Mac is having a total hip replacement surgery this coming Thursday. He's looking forward to walking better and has already labeled the correct hip. Very important. Share that. Good thoughts for that. We also have a sorrow by Melinda Hughes that her mother's foot surgery was more extensive than anticipated, and recovery is going to be a bit more challenging. So we send lots of love and care and healing for that and for the supporters. We also have a sorrow candle this morning from Bonner Sam's. Sorrow for the passing of Patrick Haggerty, the frontman of the queer country group Lavender Country. They released its first album of twangy, out, proud, and loud songs in 1973. And then they experienced a resurgence in 2014 and released their second album just this past February. So Patrick lived in East Bremerton, just down the road on Perry Avenue. I did not know that. Much sorrow for that. We also want to light a candle of care and concern. Diane Brooks Stevens is at St. Anthony's Hospital, where she's been all week with a serious illness, but she is showing much improvement. Dear husband Sam is with her daily. Please keep her in your thoughts and send healing. Diane can't have visitors or phone calls, but welcomes cards and your very kind thoughts. We also have one from Philip Mariconda. I hope I got that right, Philip. I am mostly attending remotely for now, he says, because we just adopted a rescue dog that we have named Ashoka, a Dalmatian pointer mix, thus a delightful handful. He asked that we please wish them luck and patience as they learn to live together. Much care there. And one last candle, I have a joy from my family. Our daughter Rose passed her physical therapy board exams this week, and she is now officially Dr. Kristen. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share. And now please join me in a moment of prayer or intention. In the spirit of community in which we find strength and common purpose, we share our joys and our sorrows, our hopes and our dreams. We have turned our minds and hearts towards one another in trust, giving love, seeking comfort, and celebrating together. We are a part of the web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. In all the moments of our lives, for those loved ones and events shared this morning, and for those we yet hold in the silence of our hearts, we are truly grateful for the love and support of this beloved community. May the spirit of love and life bring peace to us all. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated as we sing Spirit of Life, hymn number 123 in our gray hymnal, and the words will also appear on your screen.
Oh,
the pleasure of having our first reading for today's service. It's called A Kind of Loving by Rabbi Bernard Raskus. An important Jewish value is hesed, or loving kindness. This is the rare instance when the English translation accurately expresses the essential meaning of the Hebrew, for hesed is more than love and greater than kindness. To raise your child is an act of love, but to bring a foster child into your home is loving kindness. To visit a family member of your family who is institutionalized because of chronic illness is an act of kindness. But to visit someone in the same circumstances who is not even remotely related to you is an act of loving kindness. Loving kindness means extending ourselves. It implies doing what is not required, performing a good deed simply because it is part of our tradition to live with others in hesed, in loving kindness. And it is what the world most needs.
Our second reading is by the Episcopal priest Carter Hayward. She writes, "We touch our strength, our power, when we are in the world, when we are most fully in touch with one another and the world. There is no doubt in my mind that in doing so we are participants in ongoing incarnation, bringing God to life in the world. For God is nothing more than the eternally creative source of our relational power, our common strength, a God whose movement is to empower, bringing us into our own together, a God whose name in history is love." Now let us take a moment of reflection, followed by our post-reflection music by Brian Kinney.
Love is the spirit of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve each other in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our covenant with each other, and with all creation.
For many years, I've been a fan of the rock star Tina Turner, and she is amazingly durable. She turns 83 later on this month. And just a year ago, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I admire Tina not only as a singer and a performer, but as a person who has worked hard to build and to rebuild her life. She was born in the segregated South. She began her musical career in the 1950s and was introduced to the public as Tina Turner when she became half of the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. She and Ike Turner divorced several years later, and in her autobiography, she revealed she had suffered severe domestic violence at his hands. Today, she credits her study of Buddhism and its spiritual chant, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, for giving her the courage to break free from that abusive relationship and for helping her through those difficult years. So when I think about the word love, Tina's 1984 hit song, What's Love Got to Do With It, immediately comes to mind. So the chorus goes, if you recall, oh, what's love got to do with it? Got to do with it. What's love but a second-hand emotion? What's love got to do with it? Who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? Now, her song speaks to heartbreaking romantic love, but this morning I would like us to consider a larger love, a love that may include romantic love, but expands to encompass compassion, empathy, inclusion. It is larger love that many of us believe is at the core of all existence, and it is what Unitarian Universalists call the gospel of our faith. In fact, we use the word love a lot. Like many people today, my daughters and I always end our phone conversations with, love you. It seems to be the new goodbye, talk to you later form. So Unitarian Universalists use love a lot too. Notice how many times it appears in today's order of service. So what do we mean by love? Well, I confess I originally had some difficulty fully appreciating the slogan, standing on the side of love, that introduced Unitarian Universalists' work for equality. Now, the Unitarian Universalist Association has responded to requests from people with limited mobility to eliminate the word standing, to acknowledge that not all people can stand, but all can be on the side of love. I think many of us understood its original meaning as an expression of our tradition support for full equality for lesbians and gays and the right for all loving couples to marry and have the same rights as heterosexual couples. But now it extends to other justice issues like racial justice, refugee and immigration issues, economic justice. And of course, it's important that we be on the side of justice, but how do we love all immigrants, all the poor and homeless on our streets? Can we truthfully say we love all people? So talking about love can be confusing because we use the English word in drastically different situations, and it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. I love the Olympic Mountains, lasagna, and spinach salad. I love my children and grandchildren. I love Suki, my 20-year-old Burmese cat, and my heart was broken when she died. So our English language is part of the problem. We have the one word love to express many meanings. In that way, the Greeks had an advantage. They distinguished between different kinds of love by using different words, eros or sexual romantic love. Philia, or devotion, devotion to a marriage, a friend, or an idea. Storge, or natural affection, like that of a parent for children. And agape, or compassion for others. Agape is the kind of love Jesus meant when he said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself." And it's what the Buddhists call metta, or loving kindness. And it is this agape love that most of us have difficulty wrapping our minds around. How do we love our neighbor as ourselves? Practice loving kindness toward those to who we might find to be the most difficult and irritating, those we find it hardest to love. How do we expand our capacity for love to include not only the neighbors we know, but our neighbors in the larger world, all those we do not know? I experienced one small example of this larger meaning of love just a week ago at my local Starbucks. When I pulled up to the drive-through window to pick up my regular Americano, the barista at the window said that the woman in the car ahead of me had paid for my drink. She had paid it forward. Perhaps some of you have experienced that as well. Well, in that moment, I felt such gratitude for her generosity, I was inspired to spread the love. So hopefully the man in the car behind me felt the same way when he drove up to pick up his latte. As I passed this small act of kindness, of agape love to the person behind him. We often pay it forward to our families, our communities, and the world by extending our love through both small gestures, bold actions, and a sharing of ourselves with others. That's what we do when we volunteer at the food bank, work with children in classrooms, pick up litter one morning on our walk. And it does make a difference. The theologian Howard Thurman, in his book Deep as a Hunger, wrote, "Again and again, we are impressed with the fact that little things can make big differences. A little act of kindness in a moment of great need makes all the difference between sunshine and shadows. A smile at the right moment may make an intolerable burden lighter. There is always a place for the graceful gesture, the thoughtful remark, the sensitive response." Howard Thurman continues, "It is easy to be gracious and sympathetic with other people when they are in dire need or facing some great tragedy. Most people rise to meet a crisis in themselves or others. It's a far greater test of character to be kind and gracious when there is no special need, when the situation is not heightened by any unusual demand." I think I've mentioned in this congregation before that for 9 years, on behalf of our interfaith works of Thurston County, I presided at Moments of Blessing, which is a ritual to reclaim spiritually the place where a homicide has occurred. So after learning about a homicide, I decided where and when to conduct the ritual. And Interfaith Works office then posts the information to the members and to the news sources. I go to the site, a downtown tavern parking lot, the corner of a street, a homeless camp, a suburban home, an empty field, the Greyhound bus station. Once or twice, I was the only person there, but usually I was accompanied by other Interfaith Works members, people from the neighborhood, friends and family members of the person who was a victim of violence in that place. The ritual begins with the words, "We come together as a community, affirming that it is possible for us to heal. We bring here today the sure hope that life holds within it pure goodness and light. We bring hope, knowing that as we find and walk in that light, we live in fellowship with one another. One minister who attends Moment of Blessing fairly regularly said, "A moment of blessing is about going to those places in the community that are seen as alienating, dark, and even frightening, and naming them as places of hope and of life." Moment of Blessing recognizes that a violent death and the loss of the person is tragic, and it also calls us to reflect on our collective failure to live as true community. But at the same time, it offers hope to this painful experience, hope that each of us will come to a deeper understanding of the value of each life and be inspired to be more caring and compassionate as we interact with our neighbors. The ceremony ends with the words, "We heal this space from the violence and death that has occurred here, returning it to the community as a place of life and hope." And generally, after the ceremony, which is quite brief, people do not disperse quickly. Sometimes it is bitterly cold or raining, but family and friends and neighbors gather in small groups to talk with those who may not have known the victim, but are there to support their community and to share words of comfort. The moment of blessing has passed along to another person now, but each moment of blessing has been a blessing for me. In the nearly 30 rituals that I have facilitated, I have witnessed the coming together, the opportunity to see and mourn with people from different parts of our community, parts that I may have never had another opportunity to meet, where we share our grief for the life lost and affirm the sacredness of that person's life. It's a powerful experience of being on the side of love. These relationships, as brief as they might be, are the connections the Jewish theologian Martin Buber speaks of in his 1923 book, I, Thou. Life has meaning, says Buber, through relationships that come without preconditions, pretenses, or judgments. And that bond enlarges each person, and each person responds by trying to enhance the other person, thus opening us to love. In this way, we pass it forward, just like we might at Starbucks. The late Reverend Dr. Forrest Church, who served 30 years as senior minister at All Souls UU Church in New York City, speaks to this expansive love in his final book, Love and Death, My Journey Through the Valley of the Shadow. After receiving the diagnosis of his untreatable cancer, Church wrote, "Death is not life's goal, only life's terminus. The goal is to live in such a way that our lives will prove to be worth dying for. And this is where love," says Church, "this is where love comes into the picture. The one thing that can't be taken from us, even by death, is the love we give away before we go. Today's work of love and act of conscience weaves itself into a plot that will continue long after you are gone, yet be changed for the better by your deeds when you were here." Life, says Forrest Church, life may not be immortal, but love is immortal. Its every gesture signs the air with honor. Its witness carries past the grave from heart to heart. Death is love's measure. When we ourselves die, the love we have given to others is the one thing that death cannot kill. Only our unspent love dies when we die. The love that Forest Church and Martin Buber speak of encompasses all kinds of love. Romantic love, devoted love, affectionate love, and all compassionate love. But it especially calls us to agape, compassionate love. By giving love away rather than holding it tightly to our chest through hesitation, festering resentment, or fear, we establish our place in the universe, our place in life itself. When we are on the side of love, we are saying that hopelessness and despair cannot keep us from reaching out to others in generosity, compassion, and hope. Forest Church found his love deepened when he extended himself to others. You may have had that same transcendent experience when you love or receive love. The key is holding on to that experience and then passing it on to others. Yes, love is our Unitarian Universalist gospel, our message. But there is no such thing as a message without a messenger. And we can be messengers by being on the side of love, continuing to believe and proclaim that love is indeed a force stronger than violence, hate, or oppression. Never forget, says the writer Cornel West, never forget that justice is what love looks like in public. And we too can pay it forward by creating and working with the many justice movements that are happening in our world. Movements, after all, are long-term, and sometimes they seem too long to us. But unlike electoral politics, which thankfully are short-term, although they never seem to be short-term, justice movements create a culture. They create the culture for change. My friend and colleague, the Reverend Dr. Richard Gilbert, whose reading we heard in the opening words, who through his books has served as my mentor in peace and justice work for several years, reminds us that justice movements create a feeling climate, which is a powerful vehicle for social transformation. He says, just take a look at the power of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, or the impact of Al Gore's film, An Inconvenient Truth, making climate change a major global issue. Movements for love and justice persist long after the politicians have courted and counted again their last vote. Gilbert suggests that our Standing on the Side of Love campaign should be further amended to say, on the side of love and justice. For after all, he says, love is justice distributed. And we as individuals can do our part in distributing more love by pointing out that when corporations get another major tax break while a federal funding for a program for special needs children is dropped. When low-income residents of a mobile home park that they have long called home are evicted to make way for construction of another condominium. Or when legislation to require reasonable restrictions on purchase of firearms cannot even make it out of a congressional committee. Richard Gilbert reminds us, these are admittedly discouraging times, but you know that already. He goes on, it is like the Army scout who returned from a reconnaissance mission to excitedly tell his commanding officer, there's good news, sir. We can attack on any front. We're surrounded. And so it is all the more important, he says, that we have a center, a spiritual center, which replaces failure with hope, discouragement with the courage to act, selfishness with community. So what's love got to do with it? Sorry to disagree with you, Tina, but love has everything to do with it. Knowing that hearts can be broken, it is even more important for us to do our part to heal those broken hearts by bringing to the world a message that says love is stronger than violence, hate, and oppression. To help our neighbors and ourselves replace failure with hope, discouragement with the courage to act, and alienation with community. And in doing so, we then share our gospel with the world. May we continue to do so. Amen, and blessed be. Now let us join in singing Love Will Guide Us. I invite you to stand as you are willing to and able. Hymn number 131 in the gray hymnal. Everyone is invited to join in the coffee hour, which will be served on the breezeway following the service. And also following this service, there is the new to KUUF conversation, which will be in the Elmore room at 11:45. And I remind you, as you leave the sanctuary, to exit through the side doors and go right out to the breezeway. And now for our closing words by Catherine McTeague. What question do you think you need answered in order to wake in the morning and step into your life with joy? Just listen. The dark branches scrolled sharp against a pure sky are the only map you will ever receive. There is your guide. When gratitude rises as the only prayer in your heart, you are learning at last what it is to be fully alive. Amen, and so may it be. Let us go in peace.